Well, good evening, everybody. Daisy's here for you tonight, and, well, I'm going to have some thoughts on tolerance. Okay, not tolerance of people. I'm actually talking about food tolerances tonight. So, prepare to think about food tolerances. And this is more of a story video tonight. Now, I have a milk intolerance. So I was born with the inability to digest lactose very well. And my parents found this out very quickly. I moved off of breast milk and or regular milk and had to have soy-based formula as a baby. So they knew this then. They figured out then that I had a milk issue. But of course, memories don't last that long. Uh, uh, very shortly after that, I eventually obviously grew away from formula and moved on to solid foods and things. And we would go visit my grandparents that lived down the street from us a lot. And every time we visited, every time, uh, Grandpa would break out the ice cream at some point in the late evening. Every time before he did that, my mother would beg him, please don't get out the ice cream till the baby is gone. That was me. They're talking about me. I was still small. Uh, and every time they did it anyway. They didn't really perceive the fact that they didn't have to deal with the aftermath of feeding the baby ice cream. Because the baby, me, did not understand the fact that why he was having a problem. He knew right now he would get a delicious treat. It's tasty and cold and vanilla-y and caramel sauce and everything that made ice cream wonderful. So I would get my delicious ice cream. And then I would keep my mother up all night crying because I had a stomach ache because I couldn't digest it. But you don't realize that right away. You don't immediately go from ice cream in mouth, at least I don't, to I am in dire pain. That happens usually after I've laid down because part of what the problem is, it generates gas. Gas isn't escaping quite as well because the gas is forming below where the esophagus opening is in the stomach and it doesn't push out. And it's harder to let yourself burp when you're sleeping. It's always fun when you wake up and you either burp or fart a large amount right the moment you wake up, like, oh, well, I feel better now. So, as a baby, I would then get sick from the ice cream I should not have been eating. Though as time passed, I assume I had a little less problem for a while as I developed, because when it came to elementary school, because, well, my mother was normal and did not have time to get up and make us pancakes, eggs, bacon, cut an orange in half, and put a glass of juice on our plate and call it a complete breakfast, just like the TV always says you're supposed to have in the morning. Wow, I don't think I ever had that for breakfast. In fact, I didn't know until I was a teenager almost that pancakes were not a dinner food because that's the only time Mom would make them would be pancakes and sausage kind of thing would be a dinner. We were happy. We just didn't know any different. We just thought it was dinner food, not breakfast food. Anyway, so for breakfast would be the normal childhood breakfast that most everyone had. Cereal and either milk, juice, or water with it. No toast, no piece of fruit with it, none of that other hoo-ha. In fact, it was in the living room, on a TV tray, while you're watching cartoons, because that's about the only way to distract the children and keep them sitting still to eat their breakfast so they're getting ready for school on time. Now, I would do this every day for quite a few years of my elementary school life. And I didn't really think about it, but usually lunch being at about noon and having left for school being about 8:15 is when we'd leave the house, I think it was. Because school started like 8:30, we weren't that far. So 8:15-ish we'd leave the house and boom, school. Um, Now I was getting kind of a tummy ache by 11 a.m. Almost consistently. I'd be feeling ill, I'd feel yucky, but after lunch I'd feel fine when I had normal normal food. Whatever we have neither packed for lunch or was acceptable purchased school lunch. We did have a lot of good choices there at at the cafeteria usually, and you had like one or two choices a day, or one of the alternates, which was like peanut butter and jelly or a ham sandwich, and you had to order it at the beginning of the day. You didn't. There was no thinking about this all throughout your day. You got to pick in the morning, and you were stuck. That's a whole nother story. So I would feel good after lunch when I had normal, not milk and sugar lumped food. That cereal I was eating definitely was not like whole grain ultra brando oats or anything. They were probably like Trix, or I did eat Total, but I poured a whole bunch of sugar on it. uh, so stuff like that, sugar crusted cereal units that made the child happy in the morning. Again, notice dis, dissonance. The parent, the person feeding the child the food, is not going to be there for the aftermath, and therefore distances from the situation. Now, my sister and I would eat this for breakfast. My mother normally would eat buttered toast. Um, and I think she still mostly eats just buttered toast for breakfast. And at this point, so does Dad. Kind of a thing. Eh. Um, I think he has a banana too now. But back then, when Dad was getting up and getting ready for work, because he had to go to work about the same time we went to school, he made his breakfast on the stove. And it was always the same exact thing. He would have smoked sausages about the size of a regular hot dog, which we would slice in half and fry on a pan with water until the water goes away and the sausage fried a little bit. Uh, and then he would serve those each on a piece of white bread folded over. Every morning, consistently, all of my childhood. That's what Dad ate. I think he got the same brand constantly. So he would have a split smoked sausage on two breads, and I was like, they always smell good. Every once in a while, we'd beg him and he'd make us one, and we'd be like, oh, magic. Because it was good. It was really tasty. And a fun way to start the meal or the day. So at some point, I was getting tired of having these stomach aches every morning from eating cereal and nothing else and leaving the house. So I asked my mom, could I try having what Dad has every morning? I can even cook both of them together. I'll cook mine and his and make both and be ready for school, and he can be ready for work. And Mom was like, yeah, whatever. So I started doing that with cooking sausages, having on two pieces of white bread. It was just like a epiphany. I was getting protein in the morning, which is probably a good thing, as opposed to just eating sugar and milk effectively. Oh, I know there's vitamins and minerals somewhere in those cereals, but they hide it really high, deep underneath all of the sugar. So, an undigestible product and sugar is all the food that I was having in the morning. So now I switched that up to a piece of meat and some bread. I was set. I felt amazing every morning. This was great. I actually felt good. So I would do that every morning. I still drank milk on part of the time. I didn't give up milk at this point because I liked it. I liked ice cream and stuff, but I didn't just eat a bunch of milk before bed. I did occasionally get stomach aches, and I didn't put two and two back together as this is where the problem is. Dissonance, cognitive dissonance, problem, person dealing with problem, still the same person, but in this case, can't remember why I did the thing. It causes the other thing. Knowledge is not power when you don't use it. um, as time went by, though, I got more and more intolerant and had to start giving it up. I was realizing I was getting sick. Uh, more and more. I still do eat some milk products here and there. I'll have ice cream, I'll have pizza, lasagna, and whatnot. I have to be careful though because I will get sick if I do stupid, like have lasagna and then have some ice cream, and then I'll have to have some Pepto because I'm done. That's all she wrote. Um, I have found that taking dairy supplements does help here, but it doesn't fix everything. I still have a good chance of getting a stomach ache if I've had too much. But, well, work around your situation. Now, uh, food food intolerances are not pleasant. They're not the end of the world. They're not going to kill you unless you have way, 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 way too much of something, in which case you might have some other non-related direct problems. But in general, most of the times, food intolerances like milk, which a lot of people have, are just going to blow through you eventually. Either they'll come out the top or out the bottom, and or give you some pain along the way. uh, but I live with my intolerances, and I do what I can to still enjoy myself. I still have ice cream again. I still have uh, milk on graham crackers. I love that. It's one of my favorite special treats. I love pizza, but I prefer one with a nice thick crust because the more not milk in my stomach with the milk, the better. The thin crust, there's a higher probability of would eat more pizza, which means more cheese in my mouth, which means more cheese in my tummy, and more cheese percentage in what's inside me can cause more problems. So, eh, hard to win there, but we do what we can. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a story about tolerance. Tolerance. Be more tolerant. That's what Autumn always tells me. Be more tolerant. I just cut cheese out of things. It makes my life easier. A lot of times I didn't like it anyway. I like macaroni and cheese. I just like macaroni. Good. I can't stand Alfredo. Good. Not a thing I have to have. Yeah. All right. Well, please have a tolerant rest of your day. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Look at my Patreon if you so choose to. I've talked about it a few times. Link will be in the description. I have a video all about it too if you look back there and you can hear about what you can get. So, as Daisy was lovingly likes to say, everybody be good girls, and I'll see you all in next video in some form.